Hello everyone. I've heard there are over 5,000 restaurants in Las Vegas. Seems like half of them are Chinese. Okay, maybe not half, but luckily for us, there's an abundance of Chinese food in Vegas. And now, there's yet another. It's a new restaurant in Chinatown that I've been hearing about from many of our viewers. They have a huge selection of dishes from 4 different menus. Yes, a little confusing. There's dim sum, special discount dim sum, live seafood, roasted Chinese barbecue and meats, homemade noodles, and a number of other dishes. They also offer a fresh live whole Maine lobster with homemade noodles for only $19.99. That's right, you heard me, only $19.99. It sounded too good to be true to us as well, so we had to check it out to see if it lives up to the billing. The special discount side menu has a handful of cheap dim sum items priced at $3.99. That's an unheard of price these days. On the main dim sum menu, the prices range from $4.58 to $9.99. I have to be honest, there were a few items I didn't care for here, but fortunately, these were greatly outnumbered by dishes I loved. Many, possibly the best rendition I've ever had. A caliber of dish which will definitely bring you back again and again. Today we're taking you to Fortune Seafood on Spring Mountain in our fabulous Chinatown. When I first heard the name, I was a little put off, although a worse name would have been an arm and a leg. But thankfully, it's fortune as in good fortune, and not fortune as in costs a fortune. After spending a few minutes to look at the menu, you'll see that, in fact, they actually have many bargains here. We began the day with one of the oldest and most popular dim sum of all, Shumai. I can see that the skin is nice and thin and very juicy. The pork is terrific. A truly excellent shumai. I'm loving the intense garlic chives, and the rich fatty pork. They're also topped with a smattering of fish roe. All in all, very good, and we're off to a great start. I absolutely love Daikon radish cake. They're one of my favorite things to order at dim sum. Though I must tell you, when they're not made properly, they can be horrible. These look a little soft, like they're going to crumble into slippery little pieces of mush the moment I even think of picking them up, especially if I were using chopsticks. So I'm going to use a fork instead. I hope they're not fishy, which can happen when they're made with dried shrimp in them. Okay, well, these are great. They're really well seasoned, perfect amount of salt and garlic, and they hold together nicely. My worries and concerns were ill-founded. No dried shrimp flavor at all. They reminded me of a wonderfully savory potato pancake. In fact, these are some of the best I've had in the city. If they were just a little crispier, they'd be a 10 out of 10. But they're at least a 9.5. I just love these. I'd like to take this brief moment to welcome Doug, our newest VIP member. We greatly appreciate your support. It means the world to us. You too can become a member and receive members-only perks such as newly added behind-the-scenes videos and brief return visit review videos. Of course, likes, shares, commenting, and subscribing, those are all a great help as well. So if you haven't liked or subscribed, please take a moment to do it now. It's free. They make the char siu pork here from scratch, and it is totally delicious. We may have to order some on its own. The dough is very light, just meant as a vessel to hold in the wonderfully seasoned char siu pork. I highly recommend these if you're a pork bun lover as I am. You are really going to love them. So, the dishes we've discussed so far are from the main dim sum menu. Now, let's try some items from the special dim sum menu, where all of the dim sum is just $3.99. Well, we're off to a good start. These chicken buns are very tasty, and with the addition of the fried onions, they're terrific. I'm a sucker for fried onions. They seem to make everything better. The buns themselves are ground fresh chicken and very little else. Perhaps a smattering of garlic chives and a bit of salt, and that's about it. But take a bite and then top with some of the onions, and they're a treat. Okay, on paper, these have all the making of an excellent dim sum. However, something was clearly lost in translation. Not my favorite. Perhaps it's an acquired taste. They're a little fishy for me, and though I can taste the char siu pork, it's overwhelmed by the fishy fish taste. I'm not a fan of these. They're kind of strange. These dumplings are filled with coconut and sesame seed. It's an odd combination and creates a chalky, almost sawdust-like texture. While I love coconut buns, these are quite a different animal. As you'd expect with that less than expansive ingredient list. Very boring. They need some other ingredient to provide some depth and character to this dish. I didn't care for these, and this is not something I'd order again. Well, sorry to say, this is yet another dim sum I don't like. Also very fishy. I'd advise you to pass on these as well. So overall, the special dim sum menu is a bit of a letdown. I think it's time to return to the main dim sum menu. And while not as inexpensive, keep in mind that the prices from the main dim sum menu are still a bargain. If you've seen any of our other dim sum videos, you know we usually refer to these as little footballs. I love the crunchy exterior of the glutinous dough. It's always such a great contrast and mouthfeel. These are not that filled with ground beef, however, but the little that's inside is very flavorful. Lots of garlic, a little Chinese 5-spice, and no lack of salt. A home run here in the flavor department. Unfortunately, these are not what I thought I was ordering. I asked for custard or pineapple buns, but there is a little bit of a language barrier here, and this is what they brought me. I was waiting for them to spew out umptuous, rich custard, but alas, they're just a very light sweet pastry. They're so light, they could almost float away. Well, anyway, they're pretty darn good, just not exactly what I was expecting. As we were finishing up our filming, the chef noticed us and sent these out gratis. Now, I have to be honest, I think this is probably an acquired taste, or maybe it was because I was already stuffed beyond capacity, which can really make it hard to give a fair assessment. I see them all over the restaurant, so I have to assume they're pretty popular. But I found them to be mealy with an off-putting texture. They also had a very strong fishy taste. Well, it was a nice gesture on their part, but poor timing. There were so many things at Fortune we wanted to try, we ended up coming back a second day. It's too bad the first day ended on a sour note with the oysters, but day 2 started with a bang with these steamed BBQ pork buns. They are wonderfully made. I asked, and they said they make the dough. Look how beautifully fluffy and yeasty they are. Like pillows, they're so light. And look how beautiful this char siu. It's a very sweet char siu that has a strong honey taste. Our server tells me they make everything they serve here from scratch. In fact, they have a whole area that's dedicated to making duck and char siu. Okay, I have to order some char siu pork by itself after having these buns. As many of you probably know, most places buy these already pre-made. Even most of the buffets in Vegas get them from a cold, soulless factory. But these are homemade, and they're utterly fabulous. Don't miss them when you come here. Well, as we said, after having those fantastic buns, we immediately ordered the char siu. And wow, it's beautiful. I love all the burnt edges, and it's nice and fatty. Where there's fat, there's flavor. And this is amazing. So sweet, I can taste that it's made with honey and not sugar. It's also seasoned with just enough Chinese 5-spice to give it a subtle Asian flavor. This is a really wonderful char siu, and I can see why they have so many dishes that use it as a second ingredient. It's perfectly cooked, not roasted till it's tough and dry. I imagine it was just made this morning. This place gets very crowded, and I can see why. With barbecue this good, it's a huge go-to spot for locals to get their Chinese barbecue fix. Also, keep in mind they charge by the pound. If you don't specify, this dish comes in a 1-pound size, but you can order as much as you like, and you'll be charged accordingly. Okay, the char siu, so delicious, we decided to get another meat from the fresh roasting station. This crispy pork belly is as good as any I've ever eaten, maybe the best. I see they have a whole separate area where they make all the barbecue and roasted meats. I read in a few reviews that the duck is also spectacular. This pork has absolutely no gamey flavor, just clean, fresh, porky goodness. The pork itself, very juicy and well cooked, firm enough that it just doesn't fall apart, but soft enough it melts in your mouth. The skin of the pork belly is delightfully crispy, very much like chicharron crackling. They give you hoisin sauce to dip it in, and the two really taste delicious together. As with the Char shoe we just had, they sell this by the pound, but at $19.88 per pound. Again, the standard amount, if you don't specify, is for 1 pound, which is what we ordered. But you can order as much as you like. I highly recommend this pork belly. It's fabulous. My skin will thank me for eating this tomorrow. I always notice that my skin seems to glow the next day after eating this wonderful delicacy. My mom ate a lot of tendon and used it in her cooking, and she had amazingly beautiful skin. She swore by tendon as being one of the secret reasons Asian women have such perfect skin, since it's pure collagen. Well, the real reason I love tendon is for the taste. The health benefits simply an added bonus. This is by far one of the freshest and best tasting tendons in the city. Rich, salty, with notes of garlic, sesame, and soy. I'm starting to be amazed by how good the food is here. For any of you that love tendon as I do, you're going to have to order this. You won't be disappointed. The first sign of a good chive dumpling is this crispy brown scorched surface they have on the top. And these are just wonderfully seared. Wow, I can't believe how good these are. Another stellar dim sum, perhaps destined to make a best of list someday. There's so much garlic in the filling. It's a ground pork and shrimp mixture with tons of garlic chives. To be honest, when we first tried some of the discount dim sum here, I was ready to call it a day and throw in the towel. But these chive dumplings are a masterpiece, and I'm so glad we didn't give up on fortune too soon. They're so good, they don't need any sauce. But as you know, I'm a sauce guy, especially with mustard. I receive a lot of grief in the comments when I dip dim sum into mustard. What can I say? One grandfather was from Austria. Anyway, I would definitely order this again. Don't miss these. These are beautiful enough to grace the pages of Bon Appetit magazine. They are really great, so light and fresh tasting. They make a beautiful mess of the table and of my shirt. My dogs are going to love me when I get home. I'll be sure to get a lot of kisses. The filling is 98% shrimp, held together by just enough egg white and cornstarch to hold everything together. They taste as if the shrimp has just been caught, so sweet and firm, and not at all fishy. Look at the interior. You can see the breathtakingly large prawns are very coarsely chopped. No grease on the plate, and the wonton skins are hot, crispy, without any oily feeling to them. I find almost any place that boasts about having live seafood usually take pride in their shrimp dishes as well. These are phenomenal shrimp. The one disappointment is the sauce. It's just pure mayonnaise. I was hoping that it would be honey walnut sauce or at least some sort of sweetened mayo. Thankfully, I made some of my secret sauce that many of you have seen me make before. It's simply soy sauce, chili oil, and Chinese vinegar mixed together. I like it much better than this mayo. Still though, these are some of the best shrimp balls I've eaten in our Chinatown. Just fantastic. Usually, once these arrive to your table, they require a few minutes to cool down enough to be edible. But these came out just slightly warm. Perhaps a mishap in ordering at another table, and I was the next in line. Anyway, I ordered them, and they're here lickety-split in a New York minute, and so that's always a good thing. Well, despite all that, these dumplings are fantastic. They're such a delicate dim sum item, and always so beautiful. They remind me of something at the bottom of the ocean, sculpted by nature through the eons. These can vary in flavor a great deal from restaurant to restaurant, probably more so than any other dim sum item. Wow, these are the best I've ever tasted. No mealiness at all, and the taro is almost non-existent on the inside, It's just a perfect, beautiful binder for the ground pork. What makes these so delicious is a hint of Chinese five spice. That, and the garlic, create this fabulous filling. I've never tasted any taro dumplings this good anywhere. I'm urging you to try them, and let me know what you think. I'm proud to recommend them. I see this dish going out to every table, and after one bite, it's not hard to see why. If for only these lobster noodles and these alone, this place is a must-try. They give you a lobster, alive just minutes before, and homemade noodles in a fabulous sauce, and the taste is crazy sensational. Tons of fresh garlic, ginger, and green onions make this perhaps one of the best and cheapest lobster dishes I've had here in Vegas. I know this sounds a little strange as a means of comparison. As a kid, my family and I often dined at Piero's here in Vegas, and we'd go there just to get the lobster linguine. It was very similar to this, but trust me, it wasn't 1995, even back in the 70s and 80s. And I can vouch for the freshness of the lobster, since our server brought it out to us live, and we almost became the meal for the lobster instead of the other way around. Anyway, a fabulous dish at a fabulous price. Don't miss out. When made right, these can be a wonderful way to end a meal. And these are terrific. So much vanilla. They make the perfect dessert. I'm a custard lover, and these hit the spot. A very creamy, sweet egg custard tart indeed. The crust is beautifully flaky and delicate, and melts in your mouth. I could eat 100 of these. It's surprising that with custard this good, they don't also have pineapple buns. They obviously have the wonderful buns, and they could easily fill them with this excellent custard. Someone needs to chat with the owner about this. Sweet red bean paste, very popular in the Orient. I remember my sister was modeling when she was very young, and she lived in Japan for a year. Every time she'd see what she thought was chocolate in the bakery, it turned out to be red bean paste. Talk about an expectation failure. But after a time, or a few times anyway, she came to love sweet red bean. Personally, I'm obsessed with anything with sweet red bean paste, and I love sesame seeds. Add to that glutinous dough, which is another thing I absolutely love, and this dim sum item is a no-brainer. These are your quintessential sesame balls filled with a sweet red bean paste, and I love them. They're textbook perfect. At the beginning of our experience at Fortune, I was a little worried. While we don't shy away from being truthful if a restaurant is subpar, it's always more fun for us and you when we can introduce a great place rather than telling about a place to avoid. I hope you know that I give my honest appraisal no matter what. It's for this reason we don't appear in our videos trying to remain anonymous. For those of you who have noticed that we're not cheerleaders but critics, I thank you. And this is a perfect example where you can't judge a place too quickly. We've had this happen many times since making videos. Early during a meal, things aren't going well, but by the end of the review, you can't wait to tell people about the place. Fortune is a mixed bag of some less than mediocre dim sum that I recommend you steer clear of, and some of the best I've ever eaten. But with that said, even if everything here were horrible, the lobster and noodles for $19.95 would make Fortune worth the price of admission. So it goes without saying that the lobster noodles were today's dish of the day. It was by far one of the best noodle dishes I've ever had. So I recommend running far, far away from the discount dim sum menu that has special offers on it. The only good one was the chicken bun, but even they were mediocre at best without the onions. With the addition of the onions, they were decent. I'm happy to say that the barbecued meats here are phenomenal and not to be missed. Every dim sum item we had from the main menu was excellent, and I highly recommend each one. We'll be back to Fortune very soon. Who knows, maybe you'll see us there. And don't forget to tell them, Let's Eat Vegas sent you. I know we're all guilty of watching YouTube videos and not participating. Please like, comment, subscribe, or even become a VIP member. It means a lot to us, and it helps us grow and to bring you more reviews. Until we eat again, Bon appetit!